You are live. Poor connection? What do you mean, poor connection? Hello, YouTube world. I thought I'd come on and do a little bit of a live session, and just in case anybody or somebody out there that might want to ask a question or not. Hey, Warnock, how you doing, brother? Cheers back at you. Just chill. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Yo. I see, Mark, that you're holding your camera on a... either got a different camera or you're holding it on a different angle now, eh? That's awesome. Kick in, nice. Oh, you see the snow here even, eh? Yeah. Yeah, that's right there in the corner there, eh? Yeah. It's kind of chilly out here tonight. Kind of chilly. You know, it's only a couple of degrees below zero, but... or 30. However you want to look at it. So... what did I put up for a title on my 50s here today? Oh yeah, nice, eh? That's nice. Oh, it depends on the foliage, how you're holding your camera? What's up, Ron Whitaker? Just kicking, deciding to talk a little bit of what's my name? The title of this? Can somebody print that for me there? It'll help refresh my memory of kind of what I thought for a topic at the last minute. You know, there's lots of times. What's your future? My future. Okay, yeah, it was kind of in my future thinking. That's correct. I'm kind of saying to, like, Mark, when you decided to walk and start to videotape for YouTube based on Bigfoot. Great, there's somebody pulling in on that side. I hope they don't block my, my connection. He might end up blocking my connection a little bit, so I'll pre-apologize for that. Some people with their fancy cars, an Audi. Hey, Josh. Yo, he's down under, right on. Oh, in Washington. Haha. New sub here, right on, man. Perth. Oh, you are from Australia. Nice. Great to have you on board. Somebody from across the globe. You know, this is where I'm trying to kind of go. So, Josh, hang around and you'll kind of get a good statement from this researcher here. This, you know, I put the name Tracker in my name because I believe I actually get accredited that, because, you know, if you could walk beside me, you might see somebody who has a little bit of a knack with the guys around here. And part of the thing I want to figure out is, like, yeah, the yowies, like Ron's saying there. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, Warnock. So, hang around. So basically what I'm saying with the title of my thing there is, a lot of the people who now have YouTube channels up right now on Bigfoot are because they started watching other people doing Bigfoot stuff. Maybe they got a glimpse of something, kind of information that gave them the drive to do Bigfoot, different things like this. I have another channel up, which I've only just subscribed recently, because I noticed one of my subscribers had subscribed to it. So I thought, well, I guess I should subscribe it, and eventually maybe I'll connect it to my channel. But it was something from a couple of years previous this section of video. So, and it's called, I think it comes up as the name Drew Time. And it was just me, you know, you'll figure it out, whatever. It's not a big deal. But I think it was before I ended up getting, you know, as I talk about my tinnitus and my hyperacusis, my injuries. And for sure, I think it was fully before I started to have an injury there or something. I can't fully recall it. But once I was fairly injured, I knew I had lost interest in doing my little bit of a channel there. So anyways, the long point, and also another point is, when YouTube first came on, I don't remember the year or anything like that, I originally was putting my kids even on YouTube. My boys, we had a little JR50, and we'd go out there and they'd burn around on it and stuff, and I did a couple of videos and put them. This was a previous channel, which I think I ended up deleting that channel and such, because that was like 6 months within YouTube opening and stuff, something like that. So it was you know, my one son there is 19 years old, so I don't know, was he 4 or 5 or 6 or something, you know, can't really remember. Anyways, so I've had an attraction to YouTube. I used to always bug my family when I was with my wife and stuff. Let's come up with a comedy group, guys. Let's do gangsters. Because I used to joke around, come in the house, you know, maybe I had some tools or whatever, something new that looked like a gun or whatever. So I'd joke around and kind of do a mafia voice and pretend I'm walking around with a couple of guns and stuff like that. And yeah, and I used to try to encourage my family, like, let's do this. I think this will go somewhere or whatever. And if we would have, you know, probably would have went somewhere, but this is where I sit now, right? So anyways, I really, you know, in some ways, I guess I thought I wanted a niche on YouTube anyways. Good, the dude's going to leave now. And then when I started this section of YouTube here, hey, it's Santa Claus, everybody! Oh, ho, ho, ho! Yo, yo, yo! Hey, Shoddy, how's it going? So, when I started this one, I was pretty deep in, you see me whining and complaining and bitching. I was going through severe headache spell and whatever was going on. And that was like, however old this channel, however, I would say, getting to around 2 years ago when I started doing that stuff. Maybe sooner than that, I'm not too sure. But let's just say, I haven't gone back and looked at those videos and really thought about much there. But anyway, so a couple of years back, I started doing some videos, or I opened this channel and I called it My Tinnitus Journal. And the reason I called it a journal is because I was struggling with remembering how I'm remembering and different things like that. So I knew my journal, and going live like that, we all tape different things. How many of us got 1,000 videotapes of our kids and you never watch them? But if it was here on YouTube, you're going to come across it once in a while and you're going to watch it. It's a better system. I like it better. You can keep it locked, but I kind of like this kind of a system where it's in a memory system of something, instead of me relying on taking care of the memory system, because I suck at it. So yeah, in a way, I was just a kind of a guy that, you know, I think I'm just kind of a life documenter kind of guy. Like, I'll just do different subjects, and through a lot of my time, I was doing different subjects up till the point I had my little experience with the Bigfoot. And now what I've done is what I tell people I've documented. And whether they get it or not, there's a certain amount of people that are getting it. But whether you all get it or not, is what I'm telling you is, I've actually learned how to be able to tell by roadside heavily populated places than less populated places. I'm able to tell less populated places. I tell everybody that they have to do with the trees. They will want to touch your trees. I'm not guaranteeing 100% that they've touched all the trees in the world, but they have it in them. They want to touch the trees. When I know they want to touch trees, I know how to look at the trees and see the markings that they do in the tree, even by the way they're growing now. I figured out a system, and it partly has to do with the helpfulness of this book here that I just got, even though this is the cover. You know, these covers are always a pain, right? Connecting 40-year-old pictures, or whatever that book is, to the pictures I'm doing today, and putting my story together. So it's helped complement my research that much more. And in amongst that time, I've talked about them not like being a being that's making structures. You look at my stuff and you hardly see me say the word structure. You know, I'm talking about foolers. I'm talking about trickers. I'm talking about carving that they do, not sculptures in a way. So down to some kind of a carving technique. I talk about, in many times, I talk about trying to figure out on certain pieces whether I think it's from teeth and claws and stuff. You don't hear many people talk about claws. So it's either you just got to get your curiosity, or you got to go on with it, right? And if it gets your curiosity, then that curiosity is what will help develop your smarts with the being. Because if you go back and look at I know it's a lot, but you go back and you look at my 1,600 videos on this subject, you will learn a lot on Bigfoot in there. It's my style. It's how I did it. Wasn't really doing it to, like I said, to become a millionaire. Do I want to make money doing it? I sure as heck do, especially now I'm this far into my injury. Kind of understand where I am, kind of understand where I'm healing to, and kind of understand that this is something that's sat before me, and people now make money and make a living doing YouTube, and people can do charity with it. That's my watch, learn, understand Bigfoot. That's what the beginning days when I started doing that, you guys, and I still put that up in my noting and stuff, that watch, learn, understand. It's because even my emphasis there, I didn't want people to watch and listen and understand. I want them to watch and learn and understand. Because we're in this society, right? We're in the type of people that soon as people start talking, I know a little bit about that, what he's talking about, so I just start going through all those files of my bullshit, and I stop myself learning from maybe a specialist right now. And we're doing that big time on YouTube and stuff, and that's part of this bad-mouthing comments and stuff, how we're all into thinking we're the best, so we say, oh, you're wrong, oh, you're stupid, you know, whatever type thing. Not saying we're all victims to this, but you know, when you're sitting beside a monkey, sometimes you're going to start acting like the monkey. The monkey's not always going to act like you. Sometimes you're going to act. So if you're the type of person who had a pet monkey and you're going, you're acting like a monkey, like you're really kind of coming into that level. And that's what we can do on YouTube. We can come into certain levels of silliness and stuff. And I want you guys to understand that, you know, I've pushed hard and got a lot of this information out there for us. Because the big wigs, I don't even think the big nose, the big minds, I do not see them knowing what I'm talking about. I don't see it at all. I don't see a reflection of it. Other people say, oh yeah, Tinman, I know they have to do with the trees and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, yeah, but you're talking about something different. Are you ever in the mind of thinking that, because I say they're probably behind, if not all of them, most of them, are actual bark designs. We're not puzzled by these trees, and it's starting to spread now. stripping, self-medicated stripping trees where their barks peel off and stuff. We don't have a clue for it, us humans, and we don't even bother thinking beyond that thing. If you read in some of these books, it's little phenomenons, why this happens, why this happens, and why this happens. And before I knew this book and before I knew anything about trees, I studied this and I started going, hey, they're doing this and they're doing this and they're doing this. Now I open up the books and it's like, hey, we knew this was happening and I said this guy did this. Hey, we knew this was happening and I said this guy did this. Hey, we knew this was happening. You see? So this is what's really happened. Is there is a lot of our understanding in our science of trees, which is shit, socks, the level we have really tapped into understanding trees. And it's partly because of the difference how Bigfoot takes care of them compared to how we take care of them. They're way more successful. They are probably the migration of trees on the world. They probably are that thing. If not, they for sure have made a change in the migration of trees on the world. They've made a change on the growth of trees in the world, on the whole world. I'm telling you that right now. So now we go back to the thing of me saying, and I'm not ignoring anybody if anybody's talking to me. You guys all know me on this, eh? I'll get to you guys in a bit here. And I'm appreciating the thumbs up, the support, and everything like that, guys. So if I come back to me again, and I've said this a few times, like I went and met with my dad today, and we contacted really well and stuff like that. My dad still has not said to me, okay, son, let's watch that video you say will change my view on what you're doing. My dad hasn't said that, but I've invited him to that spot many times. And me and my dad are a little bit guys. We're just not ignorant to each other at all. Not at all. Unless I'm making a mistake generally or something like that, or he's just being too tough. But here we're being both tough. Where I've said to you, man, I've offered it enough times. I don't want to hound you anymore with it. And he's the kid comes over and he doesn't bring out his video. So we're probably kind of like that a little bit, right? I'm looking forward to the day I get to show my dad that video and just see what his whole reaction will. I'm talking about my first face-to-face for you people. And if you don't get my first face-to-face, I'll go and check it in a day here or two. And I'll comment any of the new comments on there. Please ask me for advice. Please look at my comments on there already. But feel free to ask me for more information about it. Because it is such a real thing, real being on there and more, and it's original. I haven't seen something like it, so I haven't seen any of the beings that quite look like what you're looking at in that picture there, and they come out really well. And the little guy that you're seeing in the end, the whatever we call that parafolia or whatever, I don't even know what the word is, but the plant life before, he is in a round of plant life that really isn't in his face. But there is one stick that is somewhere here, and that's what we would call that pareidolia or whatever. But the thing is, that helps you with your distance. You get the separation of camera, stick, being. You get the separation. You know it is a foot or 2 foot or maybe even 5 feet away from him. But it is fairly close, I think, because the light tells you a bit of an answer, because it's exactly that. It's in the light a little bit like that, you know, where the stick lights up. So that's beautiful. Anyways, so back to me. So what I'm doing here is, today's the 20th. On the 25th, and there's snow on the ground, it's cold, you know. And people who know I'm working hard at this and stuff like that know that I probably appreciate some warmth, so I'm keeping myself fairly warm and smart and doing what I have to and whatever. And I'm on a budget. So on the 25th I get together with my kids. Awesome, my 4 kids. We get to go spend the night together and everything, and swimming and all that kind of stuff. And then the next day on the 26th, I'm probably going to the what's called the Tawasin Ferry or Sawasin Ferry, something like that. It's out by Richmond there in British Columbia, and I'm catching the ferry. I'm going over to Victoria, I think on the 26th, maybe the 27th, but I'm pretty sure the 26th. Heading over to my sister's house. Got 2 days with my sister and brother-in-law there before they take off on a month-long vacation. And I'll be hanging out at their house, and I'm going to try to see if I can buckle down on my brother-in-law's computer there, or maybe I got a great nephew that'll be there or something, or his computer, and maybe he'll even help. We'll be able to figure something out. And I want to make a few of my videos stand out. I want to do some of this stuff, these breakdowns where these guys are doing it, and give you some good insight into 2 or 3 at least of my videos, and it's going to make the world pop. It's going to make people understand different. But I tell you, YouTube sucks. They don't help my words spread or whatever type thing, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm reaching out. It's about the humanity, guys. That's one thing that my parents taught me awesomely. My dad, the guy I just went and visited, 81 years old, he still has a van. I was just talking to him the other day about his van, the little van. And it's a buggered up thing where he's 81 and he just wants to put the money into it so it's tip-top kind of thing. But it's, a $3,000 van, let's say. 81 years old. Once a week at least, maybe a couple of times, different times during the week, whatever type things. My dad does this humanity thing where he works a lot with alcoholics and drug addicts and stuff like that. Minimally once a week for years and years and years, as long as I can remember. He goes around and he buses these kind of guys around to these meetings and different things like that, and does his part of how he thinks he's able to go over and above instead of, and also not be bored, not just sitting on his rump and stuff. He's that kind of a guy, obviously, right? And that's what helps. Like I tell him, lots of times I say to my dad, I say, Dad, I'm just kind of a mini you. I don't stand up to you in almost all the ways. There might be a couple of things that, like this research here. Obviously my dad never got that far into a being like this or something. So I say I outdid my dad here. And I think that's one of the ways I can say it, right? Anyways, I'm just rambling there. And that brings me back then to saying, yeah, I'm just doing some stuff now. I'm going to, I don't know if I want to necessarily, I don't know when we upset these guys to the point where they say enough is enough. And the way that I'm describing it to my viewers is pick out the best guys that Rio. I haven't seen if that's his name. I haven't even been on his channel for a long time, but I would imagine he's got 10,000 subs. And he's got his information of his practicality that he teaches his people, how he's done it and stuff, or whatever, because he's that kind of a guy who talks and says his thing. How many times on his show has he had that vocalization one, but how many times, I know in the earlier days, does he feel like he's got an awesome piece of work? An awesome piece of, whatever. I don't know. Almost every time I start bringing in other people, I start to break up because I'm not about trying to badmouth people. And I got to put my stuff out there better to make you guys really realize what's going on. Yeah, so that's where I am. That's what I'm all about. Down at my lower thicket, there's one tree clawed top to bottom. Haha, see there, eh? And it's the only birch touched amongst a dozen others. And you think about it, birch because the peeling is like this. So you know how birch has you could go up to a piece of birch and you could pull on the skin there and pull it off at one part in its life, not through its whole system. But you can pull off that stuff and it would come off in a strip like that or whatever. Generally, that strip, if they don't have claw marks there or some other kind of a scoring there, that strip could become fairly big. We all kind of know that, right? It's even in the thinnest of the paper if we're really careful, or if it was a thick piece of bark of birch that we're taking off a thicker amount of this thing. Well, those lines that go around the birch, carefully look at how they first start. And they will first start just like if we're sticking a knife into something. You know, when we're sticking a knife into something, and we're sticking a knife into something, how it first has a little slight thinner spot of it just penetrating, and then it starts its slice, and however thick you're going, it would maintain that thickness. But the very beginning, also with nails, with claws, when you go to start your slice, you're first sticking them in. So you're first doing the pinpoint sharpness of that claw, and it slices down, and it kind of goes that far, and then draws itself back in the piece, and then you start to go like that. So it gives you a tapering. There's a good way to put it. So it gives you an ever so slightly tapering. Sometimes in the case of this tapering that I'm talking about, so in the birch, they're behind that, probably completely behind it. Don't know that yet. That takes years of figuring that stuff out when there's big teams working. That's not an answer we'll get like that. We only know they're involved in it. So when they do that and they go like that, I was going to say something off of that, but so those ones where you're talking, it sounds like it's probably cut up like this, differently than the other trees. Go in and look at that exact thing. Go in and just look at you can figure out generally which end they start on and which end they exit on. You can generally start that or figure that out, and you guys get that, eh? Because when you're first coming in and doing your swipe, and then you're coming down, then you're doing a peel out kind of thing like this. Especially if you're someone like this with a knife and you're going, you generally would just maybe stop or whatever and pull it out like that, not go like that, right? With a knife if you're going to be carving it in a tree. But if you're a clawed animal and you're kind of just doing your fast stuff, wouldn't you kind of just be right? Whatever like this, and people are looking at me, oh no, that guy out there, the Bigfoot guy now is freaking out in front of the doctor's office. You're awesome. Thank you, Warnock. You have a different approach, which I like, Tinman. This is Josh saying this. Many other channels don't have, and your deep thoughts on the topic. Yeah, and you know what that has to do with, Josh? Some of it has to do with me. Some of it has to do with my life experience as an education, my real education that I went for on purpose stuff. And my experiences of my first day. I'll just quickly go through a couple. I decided to stop one day coming home from a doctor's appointment. I was just frustrated. I was tired of my injury bothering me. I stopped. I remember just thinking to myself, like those other guys on the YouTube, they don't walk on our trail. One in particular guy said, walk off of the trail, and because Bigfoot won't walk on our trail much, type thing like this. So I did this, and I ended up walking into an acreage of land that I ended up naming, I broke it up into 3 sections, 5-acre sections approximately, so it's 15 to 20 acres, somewhere around there. First 5 acres is the Jungle Gym Motel, and that was the first part. I stayed in there, that easy 5 acres to walk around in, might even not be 5 acres, and I could easily get to the other part right there and do it. But I stayed in that first part for 2 days, I think, before I ended up going into the next section that I named the Valley of the Sasquatch, which is also, say, 5 acres. And then the next section that's called the nesting station. And it was really cool because down in the motel area, it really was all built and structured like it was a gym. And that's how I ended up following these beings around. As I would just imagine, okay, a guy would be jumping on there and he'd be swinging. Where, if somebody swung off of that or jumped off of that or whatever, where would their feet land? And, you know, so I paid attention to moss. I paid attention to a lot of different characteristics. I started to realize that, okay, you can tell when the leaf has been bit compared to when it's been pulled apart, compared to when it's just a little bug eating it. You know, I came across in that area, I don't remember when I finally started going, oh, geez, man, I must have seen 200 press prints now in moss, grass, and over to the side is a little gravel road that connects through for the forestry guys. Right on the other side, so it's just a little gravel splitter. These guys were so comfortable before me coming around, as I believe. They got sloppy with the foot part. They didn't care much about it when they left prints. So I found a lot of prints also in nice, wet, mud, gravel type thing. I ended up realizing this was on the other side of that is where sometimes they ate. So I called that the kitchen area. So kind of breaks it up for you. And in that 21 days, my first 21 days I spent there, and since the 21 days, I don't know if I've been back 7 times or 10 times or anything to that place. I don't think I've been back that many times. And I went 21 days, approximately 21 days straight. And in that 21 days, on my 13th day is my first face-to-face experience. And what happens on this is I'm off trail a little bit. And because I'm off trail a little bit, coming onto trail, their mindset, I believe, was he'll probably go down the trail. I got some kind of a thing going on, so I chose to just, and when I say up trail, I'm meaning within 10 feet up trail, and that's where they were hidden back in that area there. But the logic of them, and most people probably would have been to go, and that was the Valley of the Sasquatch, and it's only a really shallow valley, 80 feet drop or something like that, over a couple of 100 feet walk in, and 500 feet walk in, whatever it is. And so on the 13th day, I had the experience with that, my first face-to-face junior in there. And then on my 15th day, I believe, I had my second experience where I'm totally sure that I was surrounded, and there's a lot of them, and I forget what I call that one, but it's on my top 100 there. I think I say surrounded by Bigfoot, but actually I was looking at it the other day and I think I called it surrounded by Bigfoot or something like that. But I just don't put 100% stamp on it. But everybody who watches it and kind of gets into it or whatever say, yeah, 100% stamp, it's worthy. And then the next one in that place, so 13th day, 15th day, and then I think it was the 19th day, I had a third experience where I call it the big male experience, a baboon-headed, a side profile of a baboon guy that's like this. At first, there's this thing here where I always thought it, at first when I started viewing it, I thought it was a baby because, tripping you out. I remembered from one video where there was speculation of a baby hiding, so that was all bringing it into me. But it ends up being, it's actually his right hand, and you can kind of get different shapes out of his hand at different times there. But it's his right hand, and another beautiful, so at one point he does a shift where he does a little bit of a hide thing, and his hand raises off of his head, so I get this movement, and I see it 100%, so I'm cool with it. And then, since then, recently, a couple of months back, I realized this arm it moves this way. I was always thinking that it might move this way a little bit, so it might, but I know it moves this way. There's 2 black dots on his forearm here at one point in the film, and then you see them kind of turning away, just like my fingers are turning away there. You get to kind of see that in the video. Not quite that fast, but yeah. So those are the things that I will work on bringing close. So then I'll aim right into that arm, and then people will be able to see those two dots doing their move like this, realizing that the dots are on some kind of a thing that kind of has a round shape to it and such like that. I've kind of thought I can make out his bicep, like this part of his arm a little bit, and it's almost like it's just a straight thing, not like there's a bicep thing going like that or anything. That's what I'm kind of thinking I'm seeing there. I'm not 100% sure on it. Got a run? Okay, cool, Mark. I'm sure you're long gone by now. So hopefully, I ran on a bit there, Josh, but hopefully that sums me up in some ways. Yowies down under, I agree. Yeah, yowies they're everywhere, and what I'm trying to figure out is the closeness on relation. And I think the actual big-footed being, tree-taking gardener, maintenance guy is going to be the world-connected one. And if there's any offshoots of them, or if there's any other species of something that just happens to be out there, then that's what it will be. But I think all the Bigfoots, at the end of the day, I wouldn't doubt it, Josh. I'm saying like this, anybody who gets me, is what I'm saying is I think I could say today, fly over to Australia and narrow the gap on just the markings our guys say here, and connect them with many of the markings on your guys' part of it over there in their digging and their different their caving techniques. I'm even learning their caving techniques, how they choose to build a cave, and hopefully and they're doing structural work at the same time. So within a cave, if you come to some caves and you think to yourself, hey, this might have been broken like this and stuff, if it was going to be a human, a smart human, he's going to bring certain kind of peering into it, certain kind of a structural thinking to make that cave somewhat safe. These guys do the same thing. And when a cave becomes a cave, it doesn't naturally think to itself, well, I got to make sure I keep this slab band here thicker through this part to make sure it doesn't all come caving in or something like that, or follow me. So you look at patterns of how the rocks are. Why am I almost going out of connection? Right, guys? So pay attention to that. It's pretty cool. I'm going to zip down to the Western Australia, and difficult to find. A huge lack of water and food in the bush. I think structures are almost identical. And rock stacks, I hear you, yeah. It's the same, guys. I have no problem thinking that. And yeah, where the water part of it is, one way I suggest is I talk about them doing fracking and stuff also and such, right? And within our fracking, we understand that, like us Canadians, we really got a good lesson on fracking, because we started fracking in Alberta or something like that, where we go into earth and we hydraulically shift earth now to shift oil reserves, so we can suck them out or whatever. It's just silly, bizarre stuff that we're choosing to do, right? Well, these guys do the same thing. They're frackers. That's what they like to do. And I've seen where I'm calculating, this is a new creek, guys. They've reshifted this creek. And I swear, because, sometimes you can see age in creek. And we have to be practical. We got to think, how it's been raining for 15 million years. How come this creek is all of a sudden deciding to come, or whatever type thing? Did a spring, how people understand springs also leaking, or all of a sudden even pop and such? Yeah, you could see how the influence of them realizing how much control that they have, if I'm right about them doing the caving, and I'm also right about that. So you can kind of see how they're into a lot of mischievous things. Yes, yeah. So Bigfoot Force, Vancouver Island is saying, yep, causing earthquakes and sinkholes big time. Yeah, I don't know, but I think that we will for sure have to explore, or we will continue to explore to see if they really are behind that. And I can't say for 100% that I want to agree with you, but I almost feel like I want to agree with you. Great evidence in the jungle gym. Oh, you like that, eh, Ron? Huge evidence. And look at that, great hiding in there and stuff. And no doubt, like, within my first day, like second day or whatever, in that jungle gym, it's way denser now, but in that jungle gym, I kid you not, man, I was walking out on a couple of those big logs, because it's really built in there. And I was going down and calling inside there. That's where I got Mama Bear first. Because within the first couple of days, I ended up coming across a paw print. And I think maybe a cub print. Now, when I think about it, I would, and I kept on watching for those also, because I wanted to know where this Mama Bear was. And I think it was a prank. I think that was the first mimic, fake print that I really started to, yeah. Hey, Andre, how's it going? Hopefully you're still around. Yeah, I'm trying to say at that point then, I had no clue that they were faking prints. Be kind of interesting to see when that comes into the picture. That's another thing that I want to do with when I'm on my time off here in Victoria. I want to sit down at the computer and go back to my oldest video and watch a video until I'm not interested in it anymore, and then skip to the next one and try to go in line and kind of put myself back there and work on my notes, my mental notes of it down into another written form now, and not just have it where I'm just depending on my channel. And yeah, it'll be a good thing, because I get to live different for a month, and more than a month. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. 10-4, I'll check it out. Go on Mount Douglas Park and Saanich. Check out the northeast edges. Yeah. Crumbling away. So you guys, when you're driving in your neighborhood, if you're it doesn't matter, like, if your neighborhood is where you got banks and you got hillsides and you got all that kind of stuff, when you're driving out long, a best true sign to them is, because like when a bank's just going to start to slough, it's going to slough where it doesn't, for the whole thing, leave necessarily a cap hanging over. Some of that cap's going to come down with it too. So if you all of a sudden are noticing a big slough, pay attention to that. Lots of times what you notice is you'll notice, hey, there's a bit of a rock there, and you'll notice the rock not necessarily fully being exposed one day, but you'll notice it a little bit more exposed, a little bit more. They'll even try to fake the weather, like rain is coming down there. And then you yourself pay attention to the practicalness of it when they're trying to make it look like it's rain affected. Well, when you drive by so many times and you see, like, because so many times when those things are done, you see a lot of dry soil on them for the first top, because they're not real. They're not really being caused by that kind of nature. Right? So just start watching them. You'll figure it out. And what you do is you think to yourself, if somebody could be up there doing that. I see it happening right at people's driveways. There's this one rock where all the time I just drive by to see how much more it's being exposed. Right, but their address is right there. The bank is all being exposed, like as big as half the size of my car amount of area that they've exposed on these people's front spot. And I think they probably take most of the stuff most of the time, leave a couple of the rocks or whatever. And we'll just go by, and like the man at that house might be smart enough to go, what the hell is this all about? Like, he might be, or most of us just keep, at first we notice, I don't know. I just know how I know or think. I would be if I noticed anything out of usual in when I own the farm or anything like that, I guess that's part of the thing that helps me here too, is I do pick up on some of that stuff, right? Causing earthquakes, water runoffs can go underground, and snow and flow like crazy. That's right. For sure, we understand. Like, there's probably tons of underground cave systems that we're going to probably discover that are already built, and like, how much can we really x-ray into a mountain or anything like that to see what's really going on inside there? We can't do that stuff at all. And it doesn't mean there's going to be hordes of them or anything in there. At the end of the day, it really might mean that they really are just behaving like an ant. And what we have to do is we got to make sure that if they are taking our animals, if they are taking humans at all, we just got to figure out a way to start, like, obviously letting humans know this, just to whatever degree that can be known, so then they know there's grizzly bears out there. Don't go where the grizzly bears are. Don't go where the Bigfoot are. Or you have the proper safety. And with Bigfoot right now, it just seems like as long as we're in like a few people, then they'll bug us. They'll do a lot of stuff where they irritate and try to scare people off, and are very successful scaring people off. So we have to figure out what's up with that. Is that moody guys? Is that how much free will do they really have? Do they have as much free will from us, but their willpower to behave is just way stronger? I don't know. It's cold at Christmas time, yeah. It's 37 there today. Right on, Josh. Yeah, I'm in British Columbia, Canada. So I'm near Vancouver, Canada. I'm in Mission, BC. Tinman, there's no snow here in Victoria. Yeah? Nice. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that because, it's just always a couple of degrees warmer along the coast there. Yeah, I do miss Jack. Oh, you remember the bite marks on his hips? Jack, yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad. That was pretty good how that healed up. He was a tough dog. Yes, and quit cutting down quit cutting down the forest, or they will move into town. They have, that's right. You gotta wonder why that's going on. I mean, are you right there, Bigfoot? Forest? That because we're cutting down forest around our place, are they just shifting around here? You know what I ended up doing? I did a big tour of Vancouver. When I came across, so that 21 days then led me to a couple of months later where I did a tour of where I went over to Vancouver Island, I went over to Tofino, I went up to the north end of the island, down to the south end of the island, back off the island, and realized, wow, they're all over the island, and I was starting to gain on my knowledge. And then I came back over here, and well, I can't. At one point, I started thinking to myself, it really seems like they're just moving into our area. And I still tend to lean that way, that's what I happen to catch, is I happen to catch some movement going on and getting ready for a movement of more. And I don't know if we ever think about that, when we're making a movement and people are starting to fill a community, then those numbers only grow. So if I was a little bit right and it was pretty bare, and they brought family here, a family there, and a family over there, say, then and I was at all right, then we got to understand that those numbers will only grow. And I've talked to a couple of people in our community here, and one guy that I trust so much, 100%, I have no problem believing his story. And he got growled at and stuff, and he knew it wasn't a bear. He wanted to not get up, he wanted to just try to almost blame it on a coyote because he's a good friend, and I know him well, but I also know 100% that it was a guy that was testing him for some reason in his own yard. And they know who our yard is, and they know who their yard is. He's a new resident to the house, so that's maybe what was happening. The guy's kind of going out there and figuring, well, I'll introduce myself to this human and see what kind of a reaction I get. So he growled at him a couple of times or whatever, and Buddy thought his dog was over on the other side of the bush there because he couldn't see through very well. It was a total one of their, how they curtain the whole wall, make a whole wall there. And yeah, so he thought his dog was over there, so he calls his dog. All of a sudden his dog makes a noise. He turns behind him. His dog's with him. So blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he went and got his gun and actually came out there and showed his piece at least and let that smell of whatever that is so that thing can go, okay, this guy's a little bit tougher than I thought, so I'll leave him alone. I told them, good for you, that I think that's the proper things to do, is to show them that, we're strong. We're not wimps, and we're not meant to be pushed around. We'll fight back. We can't be that kind of a loving thing where we're doing too much of this baby puppy talk that we do. Not in this case here. It doesn't mean we should all do anything, aggressively and mean or anything like that. I don't think we should do anything that will start to tick them off as a community. Because I fully feel that they are learning. They are maybe even changing. Yeah, if we're painting Bigfoot in a corner, we're going to be in trouble. And that could be one of the answers. Andrea, I hope you have a great time with your family and stay safe. Thank you very much. I will. And I will have a great time, I'm sure. So you support the Ancient Forest Alliance in BC, eh? Do you go around? Have you gone around with those big ribbons to tie around certain ancient type of trees and stuff? Is that part of what that committee does? Painting. AC is here. How aggressive do I think they are? Well, I have one growl at me and smash bushes. I continue. You can find that up on my channel there. I can't recall the name at this point, but growls at me. I don't hear the first maybe 2 growls, but it's enough to catch my attention. I end up saying, hey dude, what's going on? Why all the aggression? That kind of stuff. I've continued on for maybe a minute and a half of just trying to connect and see what's going on. He continued to, I believe there might have been more than one, I think maybe 2. If you really listen and you really get into the sounds and stuff, you're hearing them, I believe it's smashing like this, not breaking sticks like this, more like swatting breaking, and in the bushes and stuff. And I got to the end there, and when I end up saying, okay, I'll leave or whatever, I remember really just feeling, holy cow, if I don't stop, I think that guy's coming more or something. There was just a feeling that, I pushed myself right to the limit. And if you listen to that, and if you believe me and connect with it, then you're realizing that 1 or 2 was really tested out. Because it wouldn't have taken much for them to have just taken me out. It really wouldn't have just come up and grabbed me, take me over to the river and dunk me in the river and take me to the other side, whatever they do. I don't think they're going to, our Big Fraser River, I don't think they have a problem swimming the Big Fraser River. They probably swim from the islands out there and stuff. And I think that, and that's part of where I was going with our increase. I almost felt like when I did my island tour. And then I came back on ferry, and you're looking at all these islands, and go to swim to that island, and then swim to that island, and swim and get, and, you know, have your short route, whether it's up island or down, wherever it makes most sense. However, to hitch a ride, maybe even. And yeah, barges, hitch a ride on a barge if they're willing to go with that kind of a system. They might not be really willing to test out too much of that stuff, but they will go into our buildings and stuff. They will touch our things that we build. They will touch. Like, I swear, they're messing around with one of our bridges over here, one of the foundations, minimally. And I swear we will figure out that it's them. And yeah, we just need to get on top of all this. Because when I look in this book, I see that they've been here for 40 years. When I look at these trees, I see that they've been here for 40 years. When you really, truly start to watch the growth of a tree and stuff, and understand the volume of energy that it takes to grow this thing, it doesn't get to change like a piece of grass. One piece of grass does not represent one tree. And one piece of grass can grow in a thing that we can see, and we can go out there and check it daily. If you start watching your trees in these regions up in here and stuff, you can see daily changes sometimes. And then that's when you start going, could that be from birds just going up there and they must have plucked those all off? You know, or where's those couple of little twigs that were sticking out the side way up there, and it made it look more like an X instead of now it looks like a cross? You know? Ancient Forest Alliance lobbies for bigger changes to forest in line with protection and preservation of our old forests, and our precious stands for Douglas firs. I got you. Ron is saying, I got my blinds open and a few juveniles are watching Tinman. Oh, they're watching through your window and watching the computer? I got great snow prints. Oh, dude, nice. They tap on my screen. Neat, man. AC, be careful, I will. So what was that about? They respect and knowledge and they listen to the voice and stress authority. I'm serious, Tinman. After telling them to lay off the cats, and they did. Yeah, cool. Thanks for letting me know. And you know, I think that was kind of a similar understanding that Jack himself might have built with them. I beat you guys. Leave me alone now. Because he had those 2 injuries when I just am thinking, hey, I think they're coming, whatever that's going on over there. I think they might have, I think they might have tracked me here. Did it take them a day? And I'm going through all this processing and thing. Meanwhile, Jack gets into a couple of scuffles out there and then never gets bothered again and could run through those bushes and you could just tell he was having fun. You know, and it wasn't always like, although he loved squirrels and stuff, so... You know, I don't really know how much of a relationship he had, but I swear I think I tapped into that Jack. They did kind of like you're saying with your cats. They laid off your cats. Jack got laid off of. Do you think they understand our language or just the way we move? They don't really understand the language or the way that we move. I think that stuff can give them information, but I don't think they can fully understand it. I've done a fair amount of physical language when I'm out there and I'm playing games and I'm trying to get them to react to me. You know, lots of times without letting them know that I'm doing that. And so I'm kind of almost like that sign language guy with the president that time. You guys, wasn't that the funniest thing in the world? President Obama, with a total whatever kind of a human that guy was, sign languager, got to be able to stand beside the president while all his safety guys were all 10 feet away and stuff. Isn't that hilarious, man? That's the funniest thing in the world, that thing. So where are we back at? Yeah, Jack was a Sasquatch, or a Squatch dog for sure. Yes, Yowie Josh, they keep trying to take them. So I went to the nest and taking the cats, told them in my mother from hell voice, them cats taste like shite, and they were mine, and they kill rats, mice, so hands off. And then Josh is saying, that's really interesting, Bigfoot Forest. Because that was Bigfoot Forest's comment, and because in New South Wales at the moment, there's a lot of cats and dogs disappearing, and I think it's related to Yowies taking them. Yeah, the numbers are on the increase. Jack was a Squatch dog, yep. Bigfoot Forest is saying, yes, they tossed our little poodle bush... Huh? They tossed our little poodle bush dog once, and I gave them hell for it. Oh, they touched him. Or tossed... Yeah. Dang dog would not go in that part of the woods anymore, though. Okay, yeah. So they gave him a hard time, like tossed him, and you figured they actually maybe picked him up and scared him, teased him or something. Yowie, is it a possibility, man? It is. Do you think they are ripping apart our structures, bridges on purpose? I think they're damaging them in slight ways, 100% on purpose. I've been talking about them doing it hydro poles. Really, when I got that Kittles clan, I didn't go much there, but I went and I did that nighttime in Kittles clan, but I also did the daytime at the Kittles clan there. And the one with the Kittles clan with a K, when you start and there's that hydro pole right there, even that burning on the hydro pole, I do a video of it, and I believe that's them. The charcoal depthness of it is very similar. It's like 6 feet long or something. I can't remember. It might even be longer than that. But it was also like 20 inches or 2 feet or something like that off of the ground. And where it started there was no harsher charcoal in thickness, depths and stuff. It was in comparison with all of it, everywhere. So however this fire started on this thing, it stayed because it's not a really light charcoaling either. It's got a little bit of depth to it, not much. But it was as intense throughout the whole graffiti of it because it's kind of like shaped like this and stuff. So they're behind that. In this area, I believe. They got, I don't know how they monkey around with a heat source or a fire source or something. I have no idea how they're doing it, but I think that's be one of the things we really do you think they rip apart our structure? Okay. So in other words, on the bridge, on our one bridge over here, AC, a video, say in the last 3 weeks or something like that, you see like it's just got a green, when you come to it, I don't recall the name, but you'll see a big patch of green. It's just, the thumbnail is green. And just in that thumbnail, zoom into it if you want, and you see this etching of this, and that's what they're doing, is they're trying to make it like this or whatever type thing. So this one's really fresh. You can see how the moss has been cleared out of the way to make the crack. It's kind of like that crack should be happening. No problem with the moss on top of all of it and covering it all. But no, all the moss has been spread open or is not there or whatever. and you can get a powderiness, and because they're smart, they might not just choose to make a crack. They might choose to make, okay, I'm going to take out this rock and do these different kinds of things in the cement, because they are artists at their work, and that's part of the way how we're able to follow them. You'll learn is some of them are shitty artists and some of them are good artists. That's one way when they're trying to fake you on a beaver cutting, because a beaver isn't a good artist. So he leaves his stuff pretty rough, and you get a fair amount of the fray types amount of trees where that piece broke off and fray is sticking out. Piece is broken off and fray and stuff like that and break, and they bite in, and however a beaver does it. Well, when they're faking them, how they do it is they're going to have a whole system, because I don't believe they're going to take the time and leave us the sculpture that they want to leave and not have some aggressive time and get into it. So I think what they do is they do these fake chips first, and it's basically what they are mimicking that a beaver will leave behind first, and they might take a lot of the wood. They might not leave it all there. So they might only leave a few select pieces. But when they break their pieces off, they're still kind of long and stuff. But on either end, whether it's going to be on the outside or the inside, I believe if I've calculated it out right, it's on the inside. There's 4 slices on either end, each one. Like that. And then maybe the piece is broken off with the teeth like this, and now this piece is this big. You come across a piece that's only this big sometimes, and you'll find 3 to 4 slices. On average, I count 3 to 4 slices on them. For sure on longer ones, and they only get up to about this long. It's not like they over lengthen them and break a long wide piece or if it's a big tree like this, they're not breaking ones out and doing it like that. So they're always up to about this length. And when they're this length, you're going to find most likely 4 slices, maybe 3. Shorter ones like that, you might only find 2. But the neat thing about those slices is so you're getting a piece of wood that almost looks like there's a slice here, slice deeper, like where they're staged. Let's just say that in the piece of wood, okay? There's 3 or 4 stages of the slice. Well, those slices themselves, so the piece is this big, and a slice is actually sliced. I hope you're following me. So in that slice, which is one angle of the cut, and there's 4 of them or 3 of them, it also has an angle like this. So when you're looking at those 4 slices, turn it like this and look at the long length. So it's like this. So you're looking at that edge of each of those slices, and you'll see them like they're cut nice. It's like, it's confusing to me because it's almost like it's a double-edged slice. But I don't think it is. I think it's because the first slice must be, they maybe go like that with it, and then they go and then pop it off. So I think there is, we'll figure that out. I got to bring out some kit. I got a couple of those where I just have them in my truck here. And I want to pull those, for one of these nights when I'm sitting here and I'm doing a live, I'd like to have those pieces here. So if anybody wants to give me that reminder, don't feel shy. Yes, they tossed a little poo. They whipped the little mutt high through the air, man. It was amazing. You got to see him flying out from the bushes? Holy Dinah, how long ago was that? So you've been living around these things for a while. You always leave your channel so we're not allowed to comment. Launched like a paper airplane. Cool. Hopefully he landed well. Poodles are pretty tough. I had a little poodle named Brutus. He was tough when I was a young lad. Ron saying the wall was swelled out in the middle. As you say, it got mucked with. And which wall are we talking about? a bit. I think you're kind of talking about a retaining wall of some sort. So that's what they'll be doing, is they'll, like on my channel there, I hope to hit a couple of spots and get a couple of confirmation videos here before I take off. Even if I can just videotape them and have them, and then I'll upload them while I'm over there. But I got my one video where I call it the 50-year-old wall. And I said, guaranteed, guys, are going to be picking apart this. And they are very slowly processed. But I kid you not, my 16-year-old son is pretty skeptic on this and wants to really see the evidence before he thinks at all. Well, that 50-year-old wall is just, you know, half a mile away from their place. So I one time had stopped there, and I made sure we talked a lot about the detail of it. And when we drove away, I said, so son, I'm thinking the way that, and this was the earlier days of that wall, like 2 months ago or something. And I said, so son, the way that I'm getting from it, you don't think there's been much going on with that wall. Like, you probably think that that wall's in pretty good shape. And he said, yeah, that he thought it was in pretty decent shape. So when we just came back here recently, I reminded that I said, you know, you remember saying that, where you couldn't really register what I was talking about, and that's cool, but you couldn't get that I'm trying to tell you that there's somebody monkeying around with it and picking it apart and starting to shift it. And he remembered, no, I couldn't really tell Dad or whatever. We stopped on this side of the road from it this time and looked across the street there at it or whatever, and there was no denying it that he knew that there were, and because there's a number of rocks that have been moved in such a way you can just see now this overall change happening to it. And the wall really is probably 100 feet long or something in total. And throughout, because a lot of them are big rocks and stuff, I think if I probably stopped and taped it and stuff, I'd probably be able to see where there's lots of fracking happening, lots of chips out of the rocks. Lots of rocks get turned. I believe they take a bit of a process when it's a rock retaining wall. And I'm not talking about fitted rocks. I'm talking about these kind of fitted rocks where they just fit it however they're fitted. It can be really tight and stuff. And you watch for edges and stuff where you can see that this is, how come this rock looks like it's 20 years old, but then you see all this chipping happening here and seeing fresh stone and stuff. This is them maybe starting to work on the rock, and it almost seems like one of the processes they like to do most on these kind of rocks is they start to shift them from bottom up. Like that and stuff, start shifting it around. They'll start to make it so the rock wall starts to have weakness and starts to bulge and all that kind of stuff. Why the frick are they doing that? That just seems like it's a troublesome ant that just wants to give us payback. So what do you think is the Bigfoot's end game? That's the thing. Like, I don't really know. I think they might be just doing a process that they think they're supposed to be doing. Just gonna make sure my windows are. That was the window was down a bit. Yeah, I really think that they're. I've described it before, kind of like maybe like an ant. But I don't know. What's your Bigfoot Forest? What's your thought on that one? You know, in the end of the day, do you think they're just like us? We're just a being that we have this certain mindset and function of survival. But there really could be maybe a more superior being than us from another time or place. More superior. And they can't relate with us very well. Like, if you follow me on that, like, we have our process of what this life is about and how we're going to get our consumption of food and water, do our living, and start to raise and build families and all that. And, you know, I look at these big-footed creatures that are doing jobs that don't make sense to me and stuff. They can be looking at us and going, why are they doing those jobs all the time? Why are they building more of those things? you know, and then maybe there's another creature, you know, another being out there that is above both of us and going, what are both of these guys doing? And there really isn't a full-out appreciation, comprehension of what's going on. Like all animals, we almost just accept them. Just accept them for what they are. But we really can't get inside a chimpanzee's head and really... The wall was swelled out. Oh, I'm still back there. Hide, eat, drink, crap, sleep, and keep on hiding. There we go. That's kind of immature of them. No one's perfect. And make babies. Fits in somewhere while they're hiding. Yeah. Yes, about 22 years, and my comments are prone to trolls, yeah. But I'm only interested in Bigfoot. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's 22 years, eh? Wow. All from where you're living on the island there? You've been just able to connect with it? Retaining wall like down from a mall. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's one of the ways, and it makes me think, Ron, when you were talking about that retaining wall, I see lots of retaining walls also going into a swelling thing, where I'm also, you know, with my experience in analyzing and watching and learning, and maybe even have certain ones in focus when I do my driving around and stuff. And it makes me wonder if all of the work is from out here, you know, and just pulling the wall further away at certain points and making the bulge, you know, the earth will just, and maybe they climb up in there and pack down the earth, who knows. Or if some of it can even be from the other side of the wall, you know, whatever kind of working. I think when I was up in the interior with some of those great big retaining walls and stuff, that's when I was really thinking about how much they would like to be behind those big walls. Time lapse, yeah, for sure. So that's basically what that all I can do for time lapse right now myself is take some pictures and in drive-by motion, videotape them and stuff, and I'll have them for later on in life to be able to at least be stating my, what claims I noticed early in life, what was going on, and here's some examples, and yeah. Retaining wall like down from in Native America, all beginnings are people inclusive of the incredible ant people. Yeah, there's a thought of ant people or a talk of ant people. We learn from all people, like hard-working from beaver people, good mothering from the bear people. Maybe the BF are trying to create some kind of order. Hey Victoria, how's it going? Or Victory? Leo, how's it going? Various locations, because they are everywhere. You can't miss them. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Bigfoot Forest. How many Bigfoots have you seen? Your opinion, Leo's asking, in your opinion, how long do you think Bigfoot lives up to? I'm only, I don't really have an opinion on it. I kind of recently was asked that question, and I went with like a 50 years. I'm not going to be thinking that the way they must take life, how life must be pretty hard on them, it's pretty tough out in that nature of this world, right? Josh is saying, I'm curious, Tinman, do you conversate with other people like Colorado Bigfoot or Bigfoot in Germany, etc.? Bigfoot in Germany? No, I don't. In my earlier days, I would comment a little bit on their channels and stuff, but once I got this busy, like Colorado Bigfoot, I say once a month maybe, or 2 times a month I will look at one of his videos for a little bit or something, but like I know he's up in some region where there's a bunch of caves or whatever, so I just looked at it for a few minutes. I'm different than that kind of, than looking for, I'm happy for what he's doing, man. Looks like his channel's really come along. He's doing a lot of stuff to, enjoy what he's doing and make it worthwhile, I think, in some ways. So Ron is saying Bigfoot Forest. That sounds like I have no idea how to pronounce that word. Oh, what's that? AC, I lost count a long time ago. Of ones that you've seen. Is that what you're saying? Is that what he asked? AC, Bigfoot Forest. How many Bigfoot have you seen? Yeah. Interesting. Although I guess I would say the same answer. But your experience is a lot different than mine. So what's the relationship like then? Apart from my channel, there's only 3 other Bigfoot channels in all of Australia. Really? Wow. That's a good one to get into then. Well, just keep it your kind of stuff then. Keep it low like that, because it's nice, because then people will come across you right easily out in that area. AC, I can see them really well, and it often takes a while for others to see them when I am pointing out using words, because I have learned that pointing at them with a hand scares the hell out of them. Well, it's because of that job of what they're doing, I guess, where they're hiding. Crap, we got busted. Somebody's pointing at us. No, he's pointing at you, Mom, not us. Yeah, I hear you. But you've noticed change, though, Bigfoot Forest? You've got a 22-year relationship. Have they ever been... So, if you talk about just your experiences from your home base there, and with the ones that obviously must live near you or commute near around you or whatever, have any of them tried being nasty to you? Sounds like you must have a fairly good relationship, especially because of the cat issue and maybe with the dog not being bothered anymore. Since the dog's not bothering them anymore. I've only seen one Bigfoot, and I think it was a juvenile. Oh yeah, I see, A fallen angel. Oh, okay. Some people look at that angel where fallen angels bred with humans and animals. Who knows? Yeah, I don't get any of that kind of stuff. I'm kind of just about all the animals we can kind of see and stuff like that, and humans, and I've seen these Bigfoots, so, and they kind of, for me, are in some kind of I think they're going to be some kind of an animal to me. At this point, they haven't, if you listen to any of my vocalization ones that have been going on, that I've been putting up there lately, I'm by the book. That donkey, that cow, all those dogs at one time when the whole valley is lighting up with like 10 dogs, It's like, I know where I'm standing. I know what's going on. I know dogs. I know that when I'm walking towards dogs and they won't come out of the bushes at me and they'll stay back that 50 feet or whatever it is and just bark at me and stuff. I know there's no fence back there. I know really what's going on. I know all of a sudden when the donkey just starts going crazy in the same area too and stuff. But it's weird, because then what do they know that we know? Like, they don't like to give up a lot of that kind of information to the people in their area. I think, like, the impression that buddy of mine that I told you about, where one's growled at him, he also, in that time we talked, he talked about how the dogs in his area would light up in the middle of the night or at different times, and his dog won't get involved in the talking and the barking. And to me, I'm like, it's not because his dog's a Malamute. And I'm kind of like, it's not so much because it's a Malamute and she doesn't want to join in the conversation. It's just that she knows most likely that it ain't dogs talking. And yeah, most of us know that if a dog's going to run in that bush and run up to a Bigfoot, if he didn't want it around, he would just have to go like this or whatever and scare the crap out of it, and that pit bull probably won't go back in the bush. That would be a good test for pit bulls. And, yeah, that's about that. AC saying, you think Bigfoot are cool? Right on. Never a nasty moment. Okay. Being fearless around them, acknowledging that they are there by speaking directly to them. Spent about 13 years being watched until I saw them as people. So you're saying for about 13 years you were being watched until you seen them as people. You kind of got a feeling that they were a people type being. How can you see them as people? Oh, there we go. And then Josh is saying, I see light orbs sometimes at night when they come out in the deep bush. Has anyone else seen this? It's strange. Anomaly. Ron is saying I was replying about bear and beaver people. I see, right? Not saying it's not true. I'd hate to run into a dogman. Yeah. Bigfoot Force is saying, I treat them as I would treat you. Speak kind words. Tell them what I am doing in their house. Respecting them. Catherine, hey, how's it going? Enjoying my videos. Thank you. I don't think they're telepathic. I don't think they're telepathic myself. Catherine's also saying, if they see me and I don't appear in any way to be interested in them, even if I am thinking about them, that should work to keep them comfortable. For sure. Yeah, it's just like anything. Like, just because we have 100 people around us, we don't have to be looking at all the people's faces and stuff when we're, at the mall or whatever. We can still be doing our own thing and feeling our own safety and, being aware of our surroundings and all that kind of stuff. And, Leo saying, nice channel, Vancouver Island. AC saying, okay, sounds interesting. Courtesy is always a good thing. Yeah, for sure, eh? Thanks, Leo. Alrighty. It's been an hour and a half, guys. Is everybody looking forward to their Christmas stuff? Having their parties, Christmas bonuses, and all those millions of dollar things? AC, love your channel. Thank you. Thanks for Catherine saying thanks for all the guidance about not taking on too much and too fast. There we go. Well, that's now I'm recalling again, Catherine. You know what you should do is you should put a little field picture or something in your from your acreage or something in your thumbnail there if you want to, But that's good. So you have some fun around there then, Catherine. Has it changed a little bit, your your way of thinking and stuff. And Ron Whitaker is shite. LOL. Yeah, you're thinking different about it and stuff. Yeah, I see it different, eh? Right on. Right on. And another one that's good on here to sub up is Bigfoot Forest there. She's out on the island, out on the Vancouver Island there. So that'll make you relate to. I stopped thinking that they are empty places. Yeah. You could do a live show from Mount Douglas Park once you come over, Tinman. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I have to use Wi-Fi on my phone. No bonus here. So, yeah, if I can get Wi-Fi up on that Mount Douglas. Oh, you're welcome. It's easy in this world to do a little shout out, right? Peace out, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and hanging around. Thanks for the thumbs up. You know, one of the biggest things I say is just talk about the subject. The subject is that these guys are, peace, Catherine, these things are, there's a change happening. It's not about us just necessarily becoming aware of them. I don't believe so, because I've been a forest person a lot myself, and I think I've tapped into they are growing in numbers and stuff. And just like anything, we like to count, and we want to know kind of how many polar bear are out there. We kind of want to know how many buffalo are out there, and you know, we just do these things. We like to stay on top of things. It helps us humans kind of feel more comfortable. So this is all the beginning games of this evolutionary change, guys. So it's what it's really about. Just being safe and thinking and being merry. Thanks, Ron. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Have a good Christmas. Stay out of trouble.